in this edition of the Mike On Podcast.
How long is long enough for Nigerians to witness the positive impact of policies? It's been months since President Bola Tinubu took over the wheel of power. But what has improved? The Naira is performing so badly against the dollar. For an oil-driven economy like Nigeria, the country may always be at the mercy of the global market as reduced oil prices adversely affect its earnings and the Naira constantly feeling the pressure. Other areas where the dollar is so strengthened against the Naira are less attractive exports, increased demand for imports and others. These questions keep begging for answers. Why have the policies not been able to stem the bad performance of the Naira? Is Nigeria economically doomed? Why is our economy so dependent on the dollar? What are the Nigeria's foreign trade policies to strengthen the Naira? So, what is President Tinubu really doing on the dollar-Naira war? Join Seun Okinbaloye on the Mike On Podcast as it drives other guests on this conversation today.
The 60% of Us series.
Hello and welcome. Well, the Naira is trading at more than 1,000 to the US dollar in the parallel market. And if you check the exchange rate before the start of this show, it is not certain that it will remain the same before the end of the show. It is that bad. It's been dancing like a yo-yo. Hello, welcome to the Mike On Podcast. I'm Seun Okinbaloye. The Mike On Podcast is your platform. Here we table it all and let you have a say. This show is independent of my every weekday show, Politics Today, and the weekend Sunday Politics on Channels Television. Well, the Naira continues to do badly against other major currencies. This is despite efforts by the government to rescue the currency from becoming worthless. The currency for transaction or transacting business in the country remains the Naira, but there is a heavy demand for the dollar. Why? For context, foreign exchange demand specifically for education and healthcare has cost the country almost 40 billion US dollar in the last 10 years, according to the FBN Quest. The surge in FX demand is largely related to the payment of school fees by students studying abroad. As the Naira continues to take the fall, is Nigeria in trouble? Can President Tinubu tame the continuous decline? Let me get the conversation to a very, very, very ordinary language. How una they do for una side? How is it affecting you? How market for your side? If you are that kind of person who export or import, what is it like on your side? How hard is the economy hitting you? How much of the effect of this is affecting the food on your table, the money in your pocket, the salary that you earn at the end of the month? Things are really hard, isn't it? But what the president has said, a promise and said, it can fix things, it will make things happen. But is he doing it? Is he on the right path? There's one man that is passionate. He knows how to break these issues down. And it's difficult to even think about discussing issues of economy without thinking about him first. It's Paul Alaje. He's an economist. Thank you so much, Mr. Alaje, for joining us today.
Thank you so very much for having me.
From your own findings, what is the state of the dollar today? I used to think that there are no multiple extra, but it still exists somehow. The parallel market and the official rate. What do we have today? What is it like today?
In the real sense, I can say that there are still three rates.
Three rates?
Yeah, there is still a rate published by the central bank, which is mostly used for most government purchases. There is an E window, which is what we now call official rate, because the central bank tried to move the market to that point. And lastly, we have the popular parallel market. If you check most websites around the world, for those that are trading, you'll see that most of the time, parallel market seems to have more frequency. Before coming to your studio, what I noticed from confirmation from different parts of Nigeria, what is averaged as at this evening was 1,150 naira to the dollar.
At the parallel market.
At the parallel market.
That is the aboki.
That's the aboki,
yeah,
as we call it in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But at official rate, it's around 800 naira. We don't know what it will be when this show ends. And government seems to have a relatively fixed rate, depending on when central bank put it up on the website or not.
What was it like earlier this week? It was almost 1,400
yes.
at the parallel market.
Yes. I had a show with you about, I think that was August.
On channels,
On channels. And I mentioned to you that if the care is not taken, it will go to 1,500 if we don't take some decision. It seemed impossible because as of that time, exchange rate at parallel market was nearly above 800 naira. So it was unthinkable for people to think that number will multiply. Today we are seeing for ourselves that if we don't do anything about economy will misbehave. It will be like wheat, whether you plant it or not, it will grow anyway, so long as the environment is favorable to it. So we continue to see fall in naira, even though this 115 is an improvement compared to what it was earlier in the week. Even official rates also got devalued as at the beginning of this week. But towards the end of the week and today, especially yesterday and today, we are seeing some level of improvement, and that we cannot take away government pronouncements that it wants to take some new action. Recall that around this time last month, government also made some decisions that we use those decisions to combat. We also heard when government say, now we have 3 billion coming from Afrexim Bank. These are spots in the graphs that show that the exchange rate, parallel and official market, they both dipped. The moment the market signaled, the earlier we realize that parallel market is a market and is driven by forces of demand and supply as well. The earlier we realize and combat it once and for all, the better for us. So when government made such pronouncement, it sends some level of awareness, quote and unquote, panic to the market and saw the dip. I think at this point, what government needs to do is to now match those words with action so that we can see that convergence. When we say we want to unify, it does not necessarily mean that we must devalue the naira. It could also mean that we are improving the value such that parallel market get crashed or collapse completely and we have a single exchange rate. The differential will be between 2% to 5%.
Well, is it possible, Paul, that the naira to the dollar might look so bad, but yet the economy might be improving?
It's practically impossible. See, this is it. If an economy worth 10 million naira and you have say 10% GDP growth rate, that will give you 1 million naira. That's what everybody in that economy. The economy could be 1 billion people. That's what they will share. If another economy is 1 billion naira and they have the same 1% and the population is less, they're actually going to live larger than the one that have 10%, because what is available to them is more than what is available to the other population. So we should not be entangled in economic jargons. We should look, you see, the devil is in the details. We should look at when we say we have growth. I share something with you. Global projection. We have seen, what's it called now? Kigali. That's talking about Rwanda. It's an economy that is projected to have 5% GDP growth rate this year. Look at the small population and the kind of growth rate they are having. Even though their GDP size might not be up to Nigeria, the same international organization downgraded Nigeria to a bit above 2% from the expected 3% that Nigeria is they were looking at for Nigeria. What is happening to the exchange rate in Rwanda is not as bad in terms of devaluation as what Naira is going through. I'm not comparing the two currencies side by side. I'm saying in the current reality, why is this devaluation affecting Nigeria, a country that is rich in gold, a country that is rich in mineral and material resources, a country that is rich in human resources, and most importantly, a country that is rich in oil? Why is the exchange rate having a toll on our lives, having a toll on our economy? Why is it getting devalued so badly that it seems as though we are losing grip or control of our monetary system?
So let's bring it down, because look, I'm worried that a currency that doesn't belong to us, that we should not have any business with, is affecting the lives of those. There's some Nigerians that have not seen dollar before. There's some Nigerians that have not held dollars before, but yet the effect of dollar is affecting their livelihood. And I'm not an economist. I know little about economics, but then how is this so bad? I know it was Peter Obi that was mouthing so much of we need to produce, and from consumption to production in the campaign. He said so much about that. What exactly do you think is making us rely so much on dollar?
Now, dollar would have been nothing to us if we don't import as much.
So it's because we rely on foreign. So let's break it down for Nigerians to understand. How bad is our importation? So for anyone who is watching or listening, it means that virtually everything that we wear, we use, we drink, we eat, we have to bring it to Nigeria.
So the
from
point
abroad.
that some people impregnate their wife, they export and import their children to Nigeria. Is that bad?
Now, I'm now hearing now that the Chinese are now doing their own kind of adire, and is now cheaper than the adire being made in Abeokuta.
In Abeokuta, yeah.
Now, if you saw a native, the native is only sown here in Nigeria. The material is imported into Nigeria.
Yes.
Is that bad?
I have a popular
To the point
example
that
of uniform.
toothpick that is made from the wood that I can actually file a toothpick in my backyard is imported into Nigeria.
It is imported.
Sometimes salt is imported into Nigeria.
Sugar is 100% imported to Nigeria. All the sugar we consume. Don't believe me? Go to National Sugar Development Council website now. As people are watching, go to the National Sugar Development Council of Nigeria. Nigeria should have reached sugar sufficiency by 2017, according to the publication by the agency. But as I speak to you, not 1 grain of sugar.
How dependent is our lives as a Nigeria on importation?
We are dependent on the rest of the world. And if you are dependent
Is it
on
up
the
to
rest of the world,
99%?
I would say that, okay, so this is what economics say. Marginal propensity to consume. So that people can understand it. For every 1 naira you earn or every 100 naira you earn, how do you spend? So you can know by how much is dollar affecting you. And when we have this conversation, why is it not just, we are just speaking above your head. Whether is somebody a beggar on the road, dollar affects him. A consular, beggar, a organizer, dollar affects him.
Who does not earn dollar, who doesn't have any relationship
But dollar
with
is affecting them. So this is the reason. We call something marginal propensity to import. So when you earn money, economists believe that money should be spent in about 4 ways. The first is marginal propensity to consume on local products. That's the first one. 2, marginal propensity to save. That is, the first one is, if you earn money, what proportion of that money will you spend inside your economy? That is, the origin of the good you are consuming from beginning to end is within your economy. That's number 1. Number 2, how much of that money, proportion of that money are you saving within your economy? Number 3 is marginal rate of taxation. What proportion of that money are you giving to government to build roads and so many other things? The last but not the least, but most importantly, what proportion of that money are you spending on imports, including SUVs that senators and some members of ours will buy soon? Marginal propensity to import. The more your marginal propensity to import is high, what does it mean? It means that all the monies you work for in our lifetime, we are telling the rest of the world that I want this my effort to create job for whichever component has the highest out of the 4. In the case of Nigeria, and people should observe very carefully, from their spendings, anything you spend that is not made in this country, you are giving job to another country. It's not that you want to. That is the decision. It's economics. 2, you are telling the foreign reserve, you are telling central bank, I want to take part of your dollars so that you can pay because this commodity is imported. You don't see it the way we don't see Ebola. But we know that when a man entered Nigeria and had that virus in his blood, he influenced so many persons in Lagos and got to some part of Nigeria. The same we don't see COVID with our eyes. But when someone catches COVID and the sample is taken to a lab, we test and we know this person has COVID. The same thing with this economic virus. So if anybody is telling us a lie or telling us a partial truth that we really don't need, it does not matter to us, that we should keep devaluing our naira, then the person is not telling us a whole truth, or he wants an economic
you said that, and I'm worried. You know why I'm worried? I'm worried that, God forbid anything happens to us. If you say we are so dependent on importation, what is being brought in Nigeria, that we almost cannot survive without outside world helping us, even the food that we eat. But there is Dangote sugar. You said our sugar consumption is almost 100%.
Dangote sugar is 100% imported raw. Most of the time liquid. They come here, solidified it, and sell. all the cube sugar, only 3 companies have the license to bring all the sugar we are consuming in Nigeria. And this is not, is in the public domain. It's not even a secret. It's in the public domain. The report is published by the National Sugar Development Council of Nigeria. You can Google it.
What about food?
Most of them are imported. Most of them are
imported. But there was
imported.
a time they were telling us that we are rice, in terms of rice production, that we are
if you have
self-sufficient.
excess supply, the price will go down. What is happening to the price of rice? Is it
What
going
about
up or coming down?
cement?
We have sufficiency in cement in a way, but you can see the report that people can now even get money from central bank and bring. Although there is another website that says that cement is banned in Nigeria. So I'm saying that to a large extent, most of the things we consume in Nigeria, at least 75%, if they are portioned on the average, are imported. Imagine Chinese pull off all their output, all their production from Nigeria. Which phone are we going to use? Imagine India pull off everything they produce out of Nigeria. Imagine Brazil pull off everything. Do you know, not my figures, according to National Bureau of Statistics, we spent over 300 billion to import antibiotics. Not other drugs, just antibiotics. Not for 1 year, for 1 quarter.
What about the malaria medication? I hope we are not importing that one.
We are importing 100%.
Oh, Jesus
we have
Christ.
Some pharmaceutical companies that are making in
that
Nigeria.
That is a major, everyone gets malaria in Nigeria.
But we are still importing. How about injections?
What about paracetamol?
We are still importing. We make some, we import some. So it is to that level. We are now wondering what is happening to exchange rates. We are asking, why is the parallel market continue to surge? Because can central bank respond to the quantum demand that we have? I doubt. So you could hear when the president said to NESG that he would ensure, which is a fantastic statement to make, that all the backlog will be cleared. The question is, how soon will this backlog be cleared? Because the reality of what we face with today is that in the real sense, our demand for foreign products, let me paraphrase it, our demand for dollars or any other country's commodity, because we have to use that exchange rate for now, even though there are other strategies we could use, is so high that we need to depend on the rest of the world or their currency, in this case the dollar, for us to. But the question is, for everything we are buying from China, what is China buying from Nigeria? From what we are buying from America, what is America buying from Nigeria? We are buying education from the United Kingdom, America, and Canada. What are they buying from Nigeria in exchange? These are questions we need to answer. So have we observed the need?
We are always giving.
We are always collecting. We are not giving. And you see, the world, God Almighty, forbids that. For me to remain living, we have to breathe out and breathe in. I cannot say I cherish my breath so much that I don't want to breathe out.
Even the Bible says it is better to give than to receive.
And it said the hand of the giver will be on top. So for an
So
economy,
is it that's the reason why our economy is always down?
Yes. I did a presentation on TED Talks, and I think it's on YouTube many years back. And I projected that Nigeria may get to this point. It is called from beneath to above. Nigeria may get to this point, at a point where we solely depend, especially on finished product. On finished product. Because which is more expensive? Is it the paddy rice or finished rice? Which one commands more price? Where will jobs be created as a nation? So we are getting to a point where statement is what is forcing down. Government must come up with action. And can I be sincere with you? We can do it.
Okay.
Irrespective of who is in office, we can do it. But we must ensure that for us to get to this point, we must move away from demand-oriented solution alone. We must get to supply-oriented solution. The problem central bank has is that there are no enough supply. Remittances coming from abroad is not enough to continue to cushion. People said, oh, central bank has stopped intervening in the market. That is why the currency is falling. Oh, so where have they been getting currency to intervene since all the while? Does it mean that suddenly they found it difficult to intervene? Or is it now that exchange is even more? Government is getting more. Is it not now that central bank should have more energy to intervene? What has been the remittance from NNPC into the market?
Let me ask you now. There was a time we had cocoa. And I see that cocoa, the cost of the price of cocoa on the world market went up.
Yes.
It surged. And that would have been an opportunity for us to cash in if we were serious people. Granite, we have it in abundance. There was a granite pyramid in this country some time ago. Oil that we suddenly we became so lazy as a people. All of us, we now. Let me ask you, because I'm thinking of solution right now, because the problems are too much. It looks like our situation is so dire and we are helpless and we are in a lot of mess. But the question is, what is our level of comparative advantage? Take, for example, and I'd like to ask this straightforward. China has population. US has population. Nigeria also has population. That's an advantage. In terms of consumption, when you have the number, the market is in your favor because you have people who will buy. Now, what products can we possibly, as a people, that you think in your mind that if the government of the day put their hands on and say, in 2 years, we want to be the world's greatest supplier. Ethiopia, for example, sesame, coffee. They're giving the rest of it. They are notable for it. In your mind, you've traveled the world. You understand the numbers. What do you think, for example, what products can Nigeria say we want to give to the world and it will be, we want to be notable for? That you think that in between the next 1 or 2 years, it can make a difference in our economy?
Well, we have to make that choice. There are a number of them. It's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 10. I will give
Nigeria is abundant. We have gold, we have all of those. But
we have raw materials, we have human resources, but that person that we have as entrepreneur, that we combine those resources together to give results, that is what we seem to be lacking. And it will not come as a person, it will come as a team. I give you an instance. Why is America great and why is the economy big? Because we have Google. What is the worth of Google? And what is America? So it is not that America owns Google, but an American business is Google with huge support from the government because the environment is secured, because the taxes are friendly, because energy is available, and they have robust transport system. They have fantastic internet in America. Leave that. Go to Apple. How much is an Apple phone? For instance, I can give you this example. Apple 15 is out now. I think Apple 15.
Yeah, Apple 15. Yeah.
iPhone 15. iPhone 15. How much is it? It's about $1.25. I mean, 125. $1,250. That's what they sell the Pro Max. Please, let's convert it to Naira today. Let's use officially 3,800. Okay. Now, even if you don't convert, 1,250. How much is a barrel of oil today? How much is 1 barrel of oil? 1 barrel of oil today, Brent crude, is about $80. How many $80 will you see in 1,250? I don't know if somebody can help me. That is the total number of barrels that America is producing without producing crude from one company. Imagine how many dollars we are giving to Google from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Ethiopia. So it is not about having crude. It is about the capacity of the businesses in the economy. So how many Apple do we have in Nigeria? How many iOS do we have in Nigeria? How many Google do we have in Nigeria? Why is China great? China used to be known many years back, about 50 years ago, not even 90, as a country with fake product. But can we say the same today? The huge factory, capital of global factories in China, because the country understood that they have huge population. India, what were they known for before now? 40, 50, 60 years ago, when I was in primary school, what I knew India for was mystical and magical power. There was a popular story that Nigeria played with India, and it was 99-1. Whether the story was true or not is another conversation entirely.
From generation to generation,
so we
heard
knew that India has all manner of magical power. But is that what India is known for today? No. When it comes to the ICT headquarters of the world, you have to go to India. Countries are changing their own story, including South Africa.
Turkey.
That was known from story.
Turkey for medical tourism.
Yes.
Turkey is on top.
With India.
Right now.
With India.
With India.
Even
Dubai has changed the narrative. You also go to Dubai, for medical.
Now, look at South Africa was known for slavery. They changed the story. The question is, do we have someone who wants to rewrite the story of Nigeria? For us to have a different story, one, do we want to produce for the rest of the world? And we can start by producing for the rest of Africa. What has happened to AFCTFA that we signed? What has happened to it? Do we say that the phones, African phones, will be coming from Nigeria? African bottle will be coming from Nigeria. African television. You talk about huge population. What is the benefit of population that is not productive?
Yeah.
It's a consuming population. America is a productive population. You know why dollar is going down? Two things. An economy must understand that these two things matter more than anything. Number one is the issue of confidence, and you can call it faith. Why the two of us are seated on this chair and we are not afraid we will fall is the issue of confidence. The moment we think that this chair is no longer balanced, we will throw it away and look for another one. That is the confidence. So when people start losing confidence in an economy, in the health sector, they will abandon it and go elsewhere. Guess what? They are building the other health sector because they are saying that you are better, we are improving. That is why for health sector is having issue. Education, we continue to import from abroad, is having issue. Even to get to the point that people don't want to hold the currency anymore. Why? Because of the issue of confidence. But what we drive confidence? Productivity. The economy is not as productive as it should be.
And Mr. Alaji, I always have problem. I'll bring in Kalu Ajana into the conversation. But before I do that, Mr. Alaji, I always say this about the subnational. California's GDP is about $3.2 trillion. The whole of Africa's GDP is about 2.58 trillion. California as a subnational in the United, out of about 50 subnationals in the United States, is about the 5th largest economy in the world. And you understand what the economy of California relies on. And that's why I'm always very upset with governors of the 36 states of the Federation. What are they bringing to the table? If the federal economy is not doing well, doesn't mean that the economy of one state cannot do well. But unfortunately, it looks like leadership is a major problem. Can we start calling out the leaders in the state for them to rise up? Because I do not believe that state governments cannot do well. States can do well because of the natural resources that they have. Given that there are some of these things that are written in the exclusive laws of Nigeria, but there are some things that are within the powers of some of these states, but they are not able to tap into it.
But to a large extent, most states are more like parasites. They are feeding heavily on the federal government. So, and this is it. If you remove what federal government is giving to the states, and I put it in region, 4 of the regions will collapse. Of the 4 of the 6 geopolitical zones will collapse. You will only have the North Central and what's it called now? And the part of Southwest and a big part of South-South, maybe 1 or 2 states in the South-South. To a large extent, most of these states heavily depend on the federal government. You know the issue again? Productivity. The states are not productive. The people there are not productive. Let's look at it. What is the most significant part of our population, apart from private sector? What is happening to public sector? Which are the real driver for government? What are they doing? What is the method of recruitment? Our teachers, for instance, I was in a state where they have a lot of teachers for local language. There is no teacher for math and English in about 10 schools out of 30 schools that we pulled. There is no teacher for math and English. But you know what? Most of the teachers were employed as compensation, political compensation. And we want the students to compete with other students from other states where, you know, the teachers were competitive, taking up, let's say, private school. So it's an issue. And the issue will be solved by improving productivity of our people. And if we don't find ways to improve this productivity, and if time permits, we look at some of the solutions that I think we can profile to government, such that the continuous fall of Naira will stop, because we need to do everything. I can tell you, within 2 months, we can bring Naira down parallel market to about 700 Naira within 2 months. And we can bring it at official rate to about 600 Naira within 2 months. It is possible. It can be done. We have done it because not in this republic, in previous republic. What did we do then that we are not doing now? These are issues that I think government should think about, and there's something we cannot hide from. The supply side must be faced. Some of the time, I think some persons are thinking supply is so humongous and it's so overwhelming that they don't want to face it. If you don't solve the supply side issues, which means activate plantations, start manufacturing on a large scale, start producing. People will consume anyway. Whether people are producing or not, something is constant. Consumption. It's a constant. But what are they consuming? So when they say that large population is an opportunity to who? What is an opportunity to one will be a disadvantage to other. So is this opportunity to us or to the countries that are producing for us? I can tell you, it is the countries that are producing for us. Meanwhile, countries that are now selling to us with benefit, we will lose. So how do we gain is what we need to. And this solution will be in the short term, in the medium term and long term. But I mean, supply side is very key. If time permits, I will mention the solution one by one.
We'll get to the solution quickly.
See how to solve them.
Of course. Let me bring Kalu Aja and let me get his perspective. And I'd like to show, Mr. Kalu, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. It's good to have you on the podcast. Let's get straight to it. Do you think we are in trouble? Or maybe we are in pains right now, but it's going to be momentary? What is your view about the state of the Nigerian economy?
We're in serious trouble. You've heard the economists lay out the numbers. We're in serious trouble in terms of we do not have the money to pay our bills. That's number one. Even the fund that we're going to get in is to cover the backlog, not looking forward. We're not getting money in to cover investments in capital resources. We're getting funds in to essentially cover the backlog. And I think the problem again is that we are focusing on the results of the bad economy and not the economy itself. I'm sorry, Sean, are you?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I think we're focusing on the results of the bad economy, which is the currency exchange value, and not the fact that the economy itself is not productive. Why are Nigerians buying adire from China? It's because it's cheaper from China. So how do you solve that? Well, you make adire in Nigeria cheaper. If there was cheaper food and adire in Nigeria, nobody will buy Chinese adire. So the problem is not the currency. The currency is the result of the inefficient and productive Nigerian market. The problem is that it's too expensive to manufacture and to produce in Nigeria. The cost of power, the cost of security, the cost of logistics are simply too high. Hence, if you bring down that cost, then you then boost supply, then you can fight imports. Otherwise, it's simply cheaper to take your money, convert to dollars, import and sell at a higher margin than producing in Nigeria. That's the problem, Sheung, and we're in a big problem if we can't fix that cost of production locally in Nigeria.
Now, we're in trouble, like you have said, but again, there are two things. If you are on the aircraft and there is a pilot telling you, oh, I'm the pilot of this aircraft, but unfortunately I do not know how to take this plane to destination, you know you are doomed. But when you are in the plane and the pilot tells you, we are going to experience some turbulence, but don't worry, I've got you covered, then you have some confidence. The man in charge, President Tinubu, since he got into office on the 29th of May, do you think, in your own view, do you think he has what it takes to be able to tame what has become a major decline?
Yeah, I think so. Capacity of himself and his team that he has assembled, it looks like they have a good team. The problem is that I think he's now acceding to political demands to fix a bad economy. And I give you an example. He came in, he removed the subsidy on the PMS, and he, quote unquote, floated the Naira. But those have been reversed, especially the PMS subsidy has come back to PMS because the politicians said, listen, this is bad for us. People are complaining. And he doesn't have the legitimacy to say, this is going to make us suffer in the short term, but the long term is going to be better. So they know what to do, but they are hamstrung. They can't do it because they are looking at the political side of it. That if we take these hard decisions today, it is going to force us to lose votes. That's what I think is going on with them. If subsidy is back, where's the funds to pay the subsidy? That's the question. And no one has answered that question. So in terms of the capacity, yes, but in terms of the will to apply that capacity, that's where I think they are lacking. You can see we've gone back. We're having an economic plan today. The only thing we hear now is how to pay off debt. I've not heard any ruling plan to develop infrastructure or to build out the economy or to create millions of jobs, which are all contained in his manifesto. We're going to translate that manifesto now to actionable plans. The budget for 2024 is the same old, nothing new, nothing exciting, nothing transformative in that budget.
From your own point of view, and I asked Mr. Alaje this, production seems to be our major problem. If we produce enough for us to export out of this country, we will get FX.
Yes.
It's natural. That is common sense, isn't it? For example, if Nigeria, you see what happened with Russia. As soon as Russia was in war with Ukraine, there was an energy problem across Europe. Europe began to shiver because Russia was a major supplier of energy.
And Russia has developed infrastructure to supply Europe. Africa that has oil, Nigeria, Angola, and Libya, we have not developed infrastructure to supply them.
No.
So Russia
they have something to give.
Exactly.
And it impacted on the economy. Guess what is happening in the Middle East? The war within Israel and Palestine and Hamas is affecting the global price of oil, because Middle East is also a hub of oil production. Now, if Nigeria has anything to give to the rest of the world today, and I ask Mr. Alaje, because we need to start thinking of not 10 commodities, one commodity for a start. From your own point of view, Carlo, if Nigeria needs to start with one commodity, let's just say one commodity that we can give to the rest of the world, and they can rely on us, that if whatever happens in Nigeria, we become like somewhat like an egg. Nobody wants anything to happen to Nigeria because of what is coming. We have cocoa, but we don't produce chocolate. We have oil, we cannot refine. 4 refineries are not working. Dangote refineries was supposed to have started since August. Nothing is happening. We have gold, but bandits are we don't know what's happening in that Zamfara and the rest of the axis. It's so sad that we have everything, but we have nothing. We can boast of nothing. We have everything, including good weather. We can produce electricity sufficiently with solar, but unfortunately, we are a people that God has blessed with everything. No natural disaster, but we ourselves, we are the natural disaster of ourselves. If there is one commodity, Kalu, that we can give to the rest of the world within 2 years, what would that be?
I mean, there are many. Just focus on, say, urea-based fertilizers from gas that we have here that we're flaring. We can just specifically focus on that and sell fertilizers that are made from urea, that is made from gas. We have excess gas in Nigeria. It's been flared, causing global warming. We can convert all that gas to like what LMA and Dangote are doing, to fertilizer. It helps us, it's helped the whole world. Right now, fertilizers, food shortages is out there, commodity shortages are out there. Russia is going to be taken off the commodities page for now because of a few sanctions. So big opportunity there. China needs to grow, they need to eat. Same with America, same with Brazil, same with Indonesia, India. So we can come to the market and say, we can produce cheap fertilizer, urea-based, and we can give it to sell to the whole world. Start to build out a 5 to 10 year plan on that. And that's what we can do, because we have the advantage, we have the experience, and we have the raw materials in-house to do that. If you want to go outside crude oil, look at cassava and ethanol. We're number one producer of cassava in the entire world, but in terms of manufacturing of converting that cassava, we are very, very low. So if you just focus on, say, cassava and then getting the ethanol out of the cassava, China needs that. The whole world needs ethanol. That's clean energy as well. That can go to PMS as well to reduce pollution. That's green fuel. So just those two things around the attributes of energy, we can push that and we can get a big advantage than the global market.
Well, okay, I'm seeing some response here, and I'd like some people to come in, but I'll come back to Paul quickly. When Mr. Alaje said dollar would not have been nothing to us if we don't import as much, and I see Sean Oshewa, who responded to say every country imports.
Yeah, every country.
It's not a crime to import, is it?
It's not a crime to import, but I say if you don't import as such, look at the person that responded. You can ask that with, when you import, you also export. So we import so much, but our export is so limited, which is why I said is the supply side. So if you continue to import and you don't export, then you are going to have a challenge. So you have to choose whether you want to practice import substitution or export promotion. For me, I think we should practice export promotion because we are not doing that sort. So if you want to continue to import and you expect the rest of the world to depend, then you have to accept that the value of your currency will keep going down. So if you cannot have your cake, you cannot eat your cake and have it. You want to keep importing, the rest of the world are importing, no issue, but you can ask what is happening to their currency. Go to Tanzania, ask what is happening to their currency. Go to Kenya, ask what has happened to their currency. Different part of Africa, not just Africa, Venezuela, Argentina, what has happened to their currency? Everybody says we are all importing. But there is a country that don't even have a fantastic manufacturing sector. It has crude. I'm not sure whether it's as up to what Nigeria has, but it has tourism. That is the UAE, has tourism. The value of the currency has remained the same. Whatever Putin is having with Ukraine is not their business. It has remained 3.65. It has remained resolute. It has been very strong. The currency has remained the same. You know why? Because the rest of the world, even people that are fighting, they are still going to that country. So the country is attracting effects proportionate or almost at par to what is importing. So this is the issue. That imbalance is what Nigeria has in our balance of payment. How are we earning back? Then people are having concerns, confidence issue, investing in Nigeria, and we need to solve it. So this confidence challenge, the president has gone to a number of places to canvass for investment to come. But why are we not attracting as such? People may say this is it's a short term. President Buhari went all around the world to attract investment. Why didn't we have as much? And you can see what the National Bureau of Statistics reported. In the last 8 years, in the last 5 years, I beg your pardon, our foreign investment reduced by over 50%. And that is just being charitable because the figure is actually worse than that. Why are we not becoming that attraction, center of attraction for investment? These are issues we should think about. And these are things we should solve. So I know the rest of people are importing around the world. So you need to ask, what are they importing? We're importing television. And I want to say this. President Tinubu came with a lot of, energy, belief, what has happened in Lagos, and all of those things. And he has put up a robust team. But are we still going to be importing television? Can we say, like it happened in several decades back, that we are not saying don't sell your products in Nigeria, but you must at least start by assembly in Nigeria? Imagine the total number of television we have all around Nigeria. We start with that. 2, mobile phone. Can we say that a component of a mobile phone must be done in Nigeria? And you can use Nigeria as, the center for the rest of Africa. But the question will be, have we done our part? What is our part? Can we guarantee security? Security. When I say security, security of life and property and security of energy. Can we guarantee security? So these are issues that government must think about.
All right. Let me bring in a few people whom I've seen their hands up real, and my concern is the average Nigerian citizen, because this thing is scary, and easily people can think of that they want to jackpot. But unfortunately, those who want to jackpot, they sell their cars, they sell their properties, and when they get outside of the country, they discover that it's actually not greener. It's even tougher sometimes, to live, to get by when they get out of the country. Nothing comes easy. But again, can we stay in our country and get the best? If a president has come into office and said he has promised, and just when he got into office, Naira has never been this bad in terms of never in the history of this country. Let me get a few people talking. I have Ken Uti at Ken Uti on Twitter. Please, I want us to have a robust conversation. How is this economy affecting you? If you can go straight to the point, let Nigerians, we want to have a multi-dimensional feel of the state of the economy from everyone's perspective. If you can just go straight to the point and let's hit the nail on the head. If it's 30 seconds, it's a fantastic time to use. Let's do it. Ken, you have the floor and your mic is on.
Okay, thank you very much, Shaun. With regards to this dollar issue, we are playing an unfair game. We don't print the dollar, and the only way we can stay afloat is to be productive. And I would like to, since I have just 30 seconds, what I would say is, if President Tinubu would like productivity to be reignited in Nigeria just the way we had it in the 70s, is our governors, I'm going to say this, we have a bunch of lazy governors who are only interested in allocations. Coming to Abuja, go to Asokoro, you see a lot of mansions owned by these governors, state houses. That is where they come and spend most duration of the month to come and get allocation. And productivity is not rewarded. if you look at that sharing formula that they use every month, there is no component for productivity. So all I expect, I think this government can do is try to promote productivity, have a component of that sharing formula that has to do with productivity. So every state should be able to export at least one thing. Not crude oil, not gas. That is within the purview of the federal government. But as a state governor, you must have one commodity that you export. That is a way we can measure your productivity and your input to the country. I mean, how can we have 37 states and the federal capital territory, and then only 7 got investment into the country last year? So you have more than 25 states that were unproductive. All they did was just to share salary. In one state even generated IGR of just 11 billion. And look at the convoy of that governor. I mean, it's shameful. We must promote productivity, and the way we will do it is to ensure that productivity is rewarded. I mean, the Bible says it. You that you have little, if you are not faithful with it, that little that you have, we'll take it and give it to those who are productive. I think we need to focus on, if we can focus our mindset on productivity, then maybe we can start having 1 or 2 governors who would also be thinking in that line, and look around them and look at something we can start exporting. Like I said initially, we are playing an unfair game. We don't print the dollars. There is no way we can magically attract dollar if we are not productive and export to the world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me get straight to Mazi Nzako at Ike Picano on Twitter. You have 30 seconds, please. What's your experience like?
So, good evening, Nigerians. Good evening.
Good evening.
The experience is horrible, but for me, it's like I have given up. You know, the rottenness in our system starts from the top to bottom. There's no way you can turn to. Is it the governors? Is it the councillors? Is it the chairman of the local government? Is it the president? Is it the legislature? Is it the judiciary? Where are you going to turn to? We need to start afresh. If there is a way to start afresh, we need to go back to a regional government where people can compete, where people are allowed to thrive and compete. If we don't do that, we are just playing. We will talk like this. The next 5 years, we will come back and talk again. The next 25, we will still talk the same thing. You know, we need to destroy this system and rebuild it.
How do we do that, Mazi?
Okay. We need to go back to regional system of governance where people are allowed to build their system the way it works for them. Then they can compete. We know in those days that Yoruba people used to make a lot of cocoa. We used to go to Ondo, and when we are coming back, we come back with a lot of cocoa. And people in the East will say, hey, it tastes good, or what is this? Or yes. We don't know it. In Benue, there is a lot of yam. You know, there is competition. People are competing. But now, the only competition we have is oil. Who can share more? Who can have more? You know, you need to have bulldozer to bulldoze your way. You know, kill those you want to kill just to get that power so you can get the fair share of the money. That is not how to build a nation. We can never grow like this. This dollar we are talking about, they have injected some money. It went down to 1,001 something. When that money finished, who are those stealing those money? Who are those changing those money and stockpiling it? Is it not the elites? Is it not the politicians? How many people in Nigeria have money to change dollar and keep? So if they like, they can borrow 200 billion, they can borrow 300 trillion and inject in that economy. Those politicians will change it and stockpile it because they don't believe in the naira. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mazi. Quickly, I'm seeing some reactions on YouTube. Someone was saying, "Show your pidgin English no fit you. Don't speak it again." Okay. Correction taken. um, there was a video I saw where in the US where the president was there and some guy was talking about how they can use cassava. I don't know if anybody saw that video. It was and someone was making commodification of the naira using cassava. Eco Maestro is one person. Joshua Gia, yeah, cassava Gary to be specific, should be our advantage. Onimisi Mayaki also is responding. There are a few people who are having interaction on YouTube that I'm watching and reading what he's saying. I don't know if you watch that video. The guy basically just tried to speak to the president as the president was exiting and was saying, let's commodification of the Nigeria using cassava. Did you understand what it means? Does it make sense? If it does make sense, what does it mean?
Well, to my mind, what he was saying is that cassava is a global, can be given that global recognition as a commodity, and it can be used as a source of energy. Unlike what we just do to cassava here, we just consume it. And we have it, we are number one around the world. Can we add value to it? Can we turn it to a commodity? Like gold is a commodity, oil is a commodity. So can we add value to it? So by that, by adding value or by making cassava become a commodity, not just what we consume at home, we can now export it in a state that it can add value to us and give us much needed foreign currency that we need, which we actually don't have now. I guess that is what the man in that video was referring to. And if that is true, he has to first, we need to research to be sure. We don't just say because somebody has said it, we should believe it. If he has done a research paper, I believe by now, government should have called on him, find a way to reach out to him and say, can we have a research document you have? And subject it to,
scientific
analysis and see. And apart from scientific analysis, we also need to subject to market analysis. Because what is scientific, market may not favor it. It may not be a ripe idea today. It might also be an idea that is ripe, but it's looking for somebody to take the lead. So if we can check out what the document is saying, and we can now take a decision on that basis.
There's someone else on YouTube who is saying, Moses Abiodun Ojo, he says Tinubu's team are not creative at all they have is CV. Do you have trust in the kind of team, the economic team of President Tinubu?
Well, as an economist, I don't discuss people. I discuss the idea of those things. So what will tell me whether they have capacity or not is the idea and the things they have done. So the president has done, I think, barely 5 months. So what have been done? What are the challenges? Have we been able to help, the population, over 133 million people in poverty? Inflation, have we gotten it to the point of deflection to start coming down? Unemployment, have we now had it at a point where is it reducing? Poverty, that those living below poverty line. World Bank is saying, based on the two policies of flotation and flotation and removal of subsidy, if something is not done quickly, 7.1 million people will join the poverty bracket against 83 or 84, 91 or 92 million people that we have as of end of May 2023. So that is what World Bank is saying. So it's not about whether they have CV or they don't have CV. That's discussing people. As a professional, as an economist, we are trained actually not to discuss about people, but to discuss idea. What is the impact of the idea?
Well, the idea, since they got into office, no matter the quality of their personality or the knowledge they have, their idea and their input has taken us to the worst level of the naira quality.
Well, that is not far from the truth. So what we now need to ask is, what solution are they bringing on board? And I give you an example. President Buhari almost got it correctly, but he got it wrong at the end of the day. Look at our major trading partner. One of them is China, among the people that we buy from a lot. So the question is, from what we are buying from China, we have to first exchange to the dollar. After that, we then exchange to their local currency, yuan or whatever it may be, and the exchange happens. Why do we need to go to the dollar? Why? Why can't we exchange directly currency for currency?
There was a swap deal at some point.
It never succeeded. It never succeeded. So why can't we say?
And I'm very certain that some people are benefiting from this.
Exactly. So, but look at it. What is the need of China that we can solve? That is how money came about. If you go back to the basis, why are we using money? Before now, it is trade by barter. You want a bottle, you have a phone. I need a phone, I have several bottles to give you. And we agree, we exchange. So, but why is it different now? We want to buy commodity from China, but we have crude that China wants because China is among the highest importer of crude in the world. So why can't we directly sell to China using their currency? And when we buy, so we have credit with China. The way when we buy from China, we will not need to go through the stress of going through a third-party currency. Let me say this to you. Over $20 billion. That is what Africa paid to SWIFT because of exchange as cost of usage. Not importing anything. The whole of Africa. Over $20 billion. What is the Nigeria budget? That's more than 50% of our 2024 budget. That is the charge Africa countries pay.
Mr. Alaje, I'm seeing Adenike Awe, she on Twitter, she's saying the president needs to declare state of emergency on insecurity so that we can face farming squarely and export big time. We can export yam, plantain, sesame seeds, ginger, snails. But let me bring in a few more people. Dr. Femi Yekini at Femi Yek on Twitter. If you want to come in just in 30 seconds, let's know share your experience with us and where are we going?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. So Nigeria is in trouble, but it's a trouble that we can actually get out of. I won't have enough to say everything I want to say, but two major things I want to say. The way to go about this is a proactive government, a government that is intentional and that is proactive about solving the problem. Look, let us give a quick example. How do you know a government is serious about promoting Nigeria when a bunch of members of the House of Reps and the legislature, they want to buy about 360 vehicles, and they don't even think or deem it fit to buy made in Nigerian vehicles? I mean, come on, that doesn't show any seriousness on the part of the government. The government is the one that is going to be able to drive this if they really want to do it. Otherwise, we're just, we're just deceiving ourselves. And somebody made mention of export promotion. Wonderful. That is one of the things. Whenever I go to the store in Atlanta, where I live, sometimes you see the box of yam, product of Ghana. See the box of plantain, product of Ghana. In the 80s, it used to be Nigeria. What happened? Why is Ghana getting all the export out in the US and other countries? Why are we not doing it? We don't need a
Dr. Yekini. Let me shock you. Do you know it's so bad? And Mr. Alaje, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I have information that it's easier to bring stuff through the shores of Ghana. It takes more pains to bring and takes longer time, and when it gets into the shores of Nigeria, it's a whole lot of trouble. So a lot of people now import through Ghana, and they bring it by road into Nigeria.
Yes.
Isn't that an indictment on our system? I'm sure you have heard it before.
100%. It's complexity around our maritime sector.
It's crazy.
And it's not just crazy. It's crazy. It's very painful.
That you have to go to Ghana. You want to bring something to Nigeria. You have to take it to Ghana. Then you have to bring it by road to Nigeria.
I've imported.
People have said that it takes a quarter of the time to bring something into Nigeria.
Do you know that the money we are paying for crude is because of this delay? There is a component of delay in what we are paying for PMS. Because when it is delayed, you have to pay for demurrage. The importers will charge. Most of the commodity you consume, and sometimes it's so complex that for days, for weeks, it is there at the port. And guess what? Some of this money is not going to the pocket of government. It's going to the pocket of terminal owners. Most of the times.
It's so sad. Let me allow you to land, Dr. Yekini, quickly.
Oh, all right, thank you. Yes, I mean, just finally, I'm just going to say everything starts and boils down to the government, a proactive government. So, for example, a minister that is going to be handling the issue of export, for example, needs to be not the normal, regular kind of just wear Ankara and go, you take pictures. No. That's how, if we have a serious minister right now, he or she doesn't have any business being in this country. He or she should be everywhere, all over the world now, promoting, getting this goods for, right? Let us have like a company or something, getting this goods directly from the farmers or from the producers or the products, promoting them abroad. Whatever loopholes or bureaucracy there is, try to solve it. I want, last month, I intentionally went to an African store, and I wanted to buy something. I was intentional about, I was looking at where is made in Nigeria. I couldn't find anything made, everything Ghana or Kenya or this one. And when we were younger and abroad, we used to see made in Nigeria goods in abroad. But right now we can't find them. So what exactly is happening? We need round pegs in round holes. People, ministers, government functionaries that are proactive, that are passionate about doing something and getting it done. Just like the Minister of Interior is doing. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let me bring in Wole Ogundare. At Wole Ogundare.
Good evening, Sheo. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Two things. Let me talk about solutions. Two things. If you look at this country, there's nothing that we have that is you can call an operational base, a base where we used to hold ourselves to a certain standard. Let me put it that way. That's one. What did I say so? Somebody had mentioned Dubai earlier on. If you look at certain places, if you think Dubai, what comes to your mind? You think tourism, you think real estate. If you look at a place like Germany, what comes to your mind? Oh, they make efficient things. If you think of a place like China, oh, what comes to your mind? They produce a lot. If you think of a place like Nigeria, what comes to your mind? You see, the first problem with Nigeria is that we don't have that base that people know us for, that we can now use that base to hold ourselves to certain standards. So whether we split the country into 6 zones, whatever it is that we like, let us do with the country. As long as we can create that base that we can say, look, this is who we want to be. Therefore, everything we do must revolve around this standard. We'll just be running all over the place. That's one. Two, the speaker talked a lot around productivity, a lot, continuously. Now, let me support that by stepping back a bit of backward integration. To be productive, you need to focus on your infrastructure, power, transport, health, education, security, water, mining, agriculture. You need to focus on those things. Today, Nigeria's infrastructure ratio to her GDP is averaging about 25-26%. I've said this in so many places. If you look at all of the countries that are very successful with what they do in terms of productivity, their infrastructure ratio to GDP is around 60, 70, 80%. Now, if we want to be successful, to be productive in any shape or form, you have to, as a second step, say, look, I need to address what my key and what my priority infrastructure should be. And there are frameworks you can use to do that. What are the key things that I should focus on, that I want to build over the next 4 years, 8 years, 12 years? Thankfully, Nigeria has a national integrated infrastructure master plan. It's online. It's an online document updated in 2022. Even the VP talked about it some days ago that we need $3 trillion over the next till 2050. That's long term. In the next 4 to 8 years, let's break it down. So if we say as a country, we want to focus on, say, cassava, there's so many things you can use cassava for as an example. What is the infrastructure value chain that you will get across cassava? What are all the touch points, including the customs, including all of those are maritime? What are all of the things that it will touch on, from the farmers all the way, if you want to export, if you want to eat it locally? What are all of those things? You see, these two things that I've talked about, one, what are we known for? Let's use it to hold ourselves to a certain standard and build everything on it. So if you're not meeting that standard, we jettison it. E.g., you can't go and buy 300 and something thousand SUVs because we need the money to do XYZ. You use it to jettison it. Two, our infrastructure to GDP ratio, I've said it so many times, is poor. It's so poor. So any Nigerian thinking that by some miracle they will work some monetary policy, and the dollar will come down, it won't happen. You heard it here first. Until we focus and say, look, this infrastructure to GDP ratio is 25, 26%. How can we move it gradually? How can we focus? Again, it's not just moving it. Focus on the priority sectors. So as we know, food is the greatest contributor to Nigeria's poverty today. What can we do concerning food? So focus your infrastructure around food and produce it cheap. Not that, you do the food and then I can always go to China and bring cheaper food, or go to China and bring cheaper, toothpick, or go to China and bring cheaper beds, cheaper this. People naturally will go for the cheaper options. So as a country, what are we doing along those lines at the national and subnational levels? Until we start to think in this manner, Shion, I'm sorry, a lot of what we're talking about, will just be theoretical without being able to really practicalize it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Quickly, let me get a few more people in quickly. I have Outnumbered at Akin Song Global on Twitter. If you make it 30 seconds so that we can have as many people before we wrap up. Your mic is on. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Shem. Thanks. Let's first start from, because we're all talking here, but I think we're just being anti-science and anti-facts. If we look at the data between 2015 and 2016, we move our economy, we diversify intentionally because of where we were, because our service sector was 58 to 60%. So we move away from service sector, which is not sustainable, is not productive. We move to industry and agri. So we add 10% to industry, the same industry that people are saying we're not producing today. We move 10% there. That's data, we cannot argue with it. And a nation that wants to progress and want to move forward have to learn how to relate everything they're saying to data. Because when we don't know where we're coming from, we obviously won't know where we're going. I mean, people have talked here today about war is our advantage. Look, if you're still going to give me one product that we should go to the market with, it's still going to be gas. Someone talks about it, but I don't know why. They don't know that we're now the highest export of fertilizer today. We're exporting fertilizer to America. If we're not doing it, fertilizer price will have tripled because of the war in Ukraine. Let's give credit where credit is due. Because if we keep on gaslighting the politicians, they will keep on making the same mistake of Yahoo policies, whereby we're already making money, we're already growing, but they want to fast forward, whereby we should be having organic growth. The industry was organic because obviously FDI drops. That means the money is not coming from outside. That means we have organic growth. And you yourself, Shion, thank you. You mentioned Dangote. Rome is not built in a day. This is the biggest refinery. This is a refinery that's going to bring us printer that is going to print dollars. So it's all about being patient. There's a virtues in patient, there's wealth in patient, and there's a stability in patient. We don't want to be running around as if we don't have what's coming our way. The previous administration has built gas pipeline, is building pipeline across West African so that we can connect to the international market. We're supposed to be doing these things for so many years. People are talking about access to our infrastructure. This deficit didn't happen 2, 3, 4, 10, 15 years ago. It's been there for 45 years ago. But thank God in the last 8 years, we've managed to deliver 8,000 kilometers of road. It has never been done before. In 16 years, I think it's about 3,000 or thereabout. And I will link that directly to our growth. The growth has to be organic. We don't want all this, which have been doing growth, like we can just go and take cassava. Cassava, we're producing a lot. People, look, statistics is like a mini sketch, like the Turkish philosopher said. He cannot just take statistics and just look at it from one angle. We're producing a lot of cassava, but we're eating it. So you want to deprive the poor of their food because you want to export or because you want ethanol? No, that's not the way you deal with economy. So you have to produce more, but you have to look, what's the global market of that cassava? 2 billion. That's not the market we need. Pipe down. We need like maybe gum arabic, we need sesame seed, we need like ginger, which is the best. This is where we have the advantage. And someone talks about, I'm actually into Forex and import and export. Guys, please, let's calm down. you're not going to bring goods in from Ghana. That's not true. Even if you say Cotonou, you're still going to face more challenges. You'll be in the border for like days. Lagos is still the best, whether you like it or not. But we can mock it as much as we can mock it. The Lekki Free Trade, what's it called? And depot is open now. You can bring your stuff there. If you take it to Port Harcourt, you will get discount about 15%. These are truths. These are facts that you can find on a government website, even on Google. So you don't need government website. And look, I just want to mention 2 or 3 things very, very quick. Right. See, when we talk about our growth, our growth have to be not only organic, but you have to be sustainable. We don't want growth that's not sustainable because you never know. The government might be listening to us. Someone like you, Sheung, I mean, you have their contact number on your speed dial. We don't want to be telling them to be going to market with ideas that is not sustainable. So when we're talking about our growth again, we want a growth that's going to be organic, sustainable. So we don't want a $2 trillion economic investment that will only employ 2 people. We want investment like Ajokuta, Dangote, investment that's going to employ 500,000 people, 170,000 people. Those are the things that we want. We want an organic growth that we employ so many people so that we can learn. Look, we're not just going to start making TV overnight. We need the materials in which you're making TV. I think maybe 30% of that materials will be found in the petrochemical that will be coming from Dangote. These are the things we should be talking to ourselves. See, because at times we don't know the growth. So we're talking about we're not doing anything. We're actually doing so much. Now we have a chocolate, factory in Nigeria. Now we're not producing chocolate. It's not true that we're not producing chocolate. In fact, another one just entered the market about 3 months ago. We have what do you call it? That's a chocolate spray. And we have peanut butter as well. Now we have a dairy farms coming from Denmark, the Ola of Denmark, one of the biggest dairy, producer in the whole world, coming to Kaduna. We have lithium processing coming to Kaduna. We have immortalized coming to Lagos. We have so many things. Let's talk about the positive as well. These are where the government have to directly focus on so that they can come to productions sooner than later so that we can have the money. Look, if you say what's still going, look, you work on your strength. Right now, we still have to look into that crude oil, whether we like it or not. We just have to manage it better. Aramco is not a story that is not available to us. Transport of Russia is not something that's not available to us. We can still get money from gas, from PMX. PMX, obviously, when we start refining our own oil and sell to West African country and bring it home so that we can bring the Naira home. We can make more dollar and the Naira can become stronger. But we have to do that organically. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Let me take a few comments, also coming from YouTube. So I see comments from the likes of Adekoya David. He says it is high time to every virus in Nigeria economy to quit lest they saturate with calamity up to 10 generations, beginning with them. Israel Ogu says, as a Nigerian, you provide your security, road, water, light, etc. What is the government giving to our citizens? They are not even giving us good promises. Abayami Joseph Odowale says, one of the greatest businesses weakening Naira are the elite speculators who divert dollars from official market under the pretense of goods, equipment, importation to parallel market. Adewale Adeleke says, honestly, it is surprising that Nigeria, though all indices have shown how failed the economy was or has been, but still survived. The pressure on dollar can be reduced by encouraging a tight, closed economy. Someone like Olusegun Ogun says, my hearing is failing me. Is he saying we got some growth in the last 8 years? Where does it leave? Kunle Ayuba said, we are doing much, but dollar is on the rise. Let me get about 2 or so more people. But I like, because I want us to close in about 2 minutes or thereabout. So Adisa Ogo at Tame Adisadare on Twitter. Please, if you can make it 30 seconds so we can get 1 or 2 more persons and we wrap up.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Great conversation. I actually agree a lot with Outnumbered. I really appreciate the perspective you brought into the picture. I think, a lot heals society, But it's also, because of what is so wrong, it also undermines what is going on so good. I actually think that the crux of the issue of the dollar, it's not really about trade imbalance or too much import. I think it was just bad money management. And I believe that the policies that the government has been rolling out in terms of what the Tawe stuff has introduced, I think it will greatly improve things. It's all about having an efficient exchange for managing Forex. An efficient market requires three things. One, you need to have multiple sellers and buyers. You need to have equal access to information, and you need to have a high velocity for that information. With the extant market policy that we had, where just a few people could participate in the INA exchange, and the rest of us have to compete in an extremely inefficient market and parallel market, we had a situation where the parallel market was always dragging the official window. So no matter how much the devaluation occurs on the official window, because people can access it, the parallel market will always be higher, as always going to drag the official window. So it was like a dog chasing its tails. But with the new current policies that they've highlighted, bringing everybody to participate in the same window, removing the red tape on that window, if we have a single market, I think the naira will begin to appreciate, and we're going to see the fair value. Nobody can argue that the worth of the dollar today is $1,200. Why? We are not importing anything. We've not been importing more. As a matter of fact, our forex earnings in terms of oil and production has been increasing, although those have already been sold in forward exchanges. So there's really no justification for that. It's just about having an efficient market, and I think the government is moving in the right direction. I hope they implement their policies that they've highlighted.
Yeah.
In terms of things that they've done in terms of infrastructure, I'm really optimistic. One thing that I'm really afraid for, though, is ultimately how government spends money is what determines how successful the economy is. And of all agents that can spend money, government all over the world is the worst of it. If I earn $1 and I have to spend $1 on myself, there is a way I'll be responsible for that dollar. I'll still make some mistakes. If I borrow money from you, Sean, and I have to spend it on myself, I'll be more careless with it because that's some money I didn't work for. But guess what government is? Government is they take money from other people and they tend to spend it on other people. Right, not even on themselves, on other people. So there's a lot of carelessness with government spending. Yeah. That is why you will have some state governors just donating money because to a sports person. Like they just waste money. So to me, what we should be doing is making sure there's accountability in government and we can reduce government spending as much as possible. For instance, I hate the idea of government trying to build housing projects for people. That is unnecessary. Why is it not profitable for private sectors to build housing? Fix that. The whole idea that government should go and focus on cassava, it is stupid, or on rice, it's stupid. Government should focus on lowering the factors of improving the factors of production. Bring down the interest rate for everybody, not reduce interest rate for rice producers or for cassava. That is command economics. It's been tried over and over again and it has failed over and over again. A rising tide brings up all boats. Reduce interest rate for everybody. Why should interest rate be as high as 26%? Not even Google or Apple have that kind of returns. Their returns about 23%. And you expect someone to do a business, make profit, and then pay back a loan of 26%? That's just ridiculous. So whatever they're doing is about reducing government spending. Those senators, going out there buying cars, just ridiculous. We need to cut down government spending. Government spending should be more about infrastructure, reducing the cost of capital, reducing security, and then Nigeria will grow by itself. Focusing on cassava, focusing on rice is just a waste of money. It's just a waste of time. Thank you.
Well, I'm tempted to take a few more, but I think we can take one more person. Baba Femi at Makal on Twitter. Please, you have the floor right now. Just about 30 seconds so that we can wrap up quickly.
Thank you very much, Sean. What a very, very interesting conversation. A couple of weeks ago, I've always joined you on this program. But the truth is, I want to try as much as possible to keep within the time limit. Everyone that I've spoken tonight, I've literally spoken one thing or the other. But the truth is, the problem is with us. And in a way, it starts with you, Sean. I'll say, When you say you're giving people 30 seconds to make a comment and people are going 1 minute, 2 minutes, what does that tell us? People don't listen. How do you expect government to listen as well? All the policies that have been talked about, give and take, these are practical policies. It might come a bit different. People that live abroad, like the last speaker that was talking about data, where we stay, it has a lot to do with data. Somebody else has also talked about infrastructures. There's no way we could go about making things work without power supply, without electricity, without good roads, without companies. Those are the basic things. So what am I saying in essence? It is the root cause that we're supposed to be dealing with, and not the problem itself. If you don't deal with the root cause, the problem will stay. The same thing that you're talking about now, we will talk about it again next week. We'll talk about it again in 2 weeks' time, in next month, and the coming years. So in essence, what I'm trying to say, everyone that's spoken today, in one way or the other, they've touched on different things, but we have a different opinions to things. The new generation, the old generation, the generational gap. People are talking about restructuring. People are talking about power. People are talking about the dollars. People are talking about poverty. Above all, the bottom line is poverty. That's what I'm going to say. If poverty can be eradicated in a way, things will work well in the country. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Look, we need to wrap up because of time. But I'd like Mr. Alaje to wrap up for us and conclude for us. Where do we go from here? There is an important subject that I would have loved us to delve into. It was a retiring Supreme Court Justice Datijo Mohammed, who spilled the beans and said, look, there is a high level corruption in the judiciary. And I see that also as that is not the only level at which corruption is in Nigeria. But if there is high level of corruption in judiciary, then we are doomed. It's a conversation I love to have, and I'm looking forward to the personalities that I would love to have this conversation with. I've not been able to get them together, but I'm sure that I get them. I'm looking forward to get a retired judge that will be able to tell us the depth of the corruption in the judiciary in Nigeria. Just watch out for that episode right here on this podcast. But wrap up for us. Where do we go from here? As the people, can Tinubu, that's the title of this episode, can it tame the decline?
Well, we can tame the decline. Like I told you, that within 2 months, we can ensure that Naira is stable at about 700 Naira. The thing we were told before now was that Naira is overvalued. It is not because of we are importing or we're exporting. What we were told that Naira is overvalued. And when that statement came and government announced unification, people have been, of course, speculating on Naira. But we saw new energy, new vigor for those who are speculating on the Naira. Here is what I think we should do, which has happened in previous decades, decade, not 5, 10, 20 years ago. How do we make speculation relatively impossible for people? And this will come from policy of government. And what I'm saying can be achieved within 3 months. We must make those who are speculating uncomfortable. How do I mean? How do we make it difficult for someone who has 1 million Naira but feel that this 1 million Naira, because of confidence, I need to have it as $900? Because the person knew that in the next 3 months, this $900 will become 1.5 million for adding no value, no productivity. What will happen to the economy? It will be like cancer. It will die. So if somebody says that we really don't need that, I think the person don't really mean well for us. So here is it. We need to do something about speculation. 30 to 40% of the increase we have seen in FX is not because of the market forces. It is because people are speculating. And we need to remove these hands from the forces of the demand and supply. So if we are able to do this, and we can target countries that we are importing from the most, which include China and India, what can we give to them in terms of goods? If we secure the Niger Delta region, where we have abundant crude, and we can sell to this country in their own currency, such that we can diversify our foreign reserve away from just the dollars to yuan, to India currency, to other currency, such that when demand comes, we can respond more proactively. and we can intervene in the market. People said the former central bank governor has been intervening in the market. That is why we have seen Naira stable. So where did he get money from? Why did the money suddenly dry up? What is wrong with the strategy of those of us who believe that we can now do better? But rather than seeing the result, we are seeing worse results compared to what we had in the former dispensation. Because whether we like it or not, if inflation is eating you by 25% per annum, and exchange rate is getting devalued by over 100%, then we have a big issue in our hands. Therefore, summarily, we have to do something about speculation, and there are things we could do within 2 to 3 months to take speculators off the arena. We can do it because we have done it before. That means if you are looking at, we will cut away about 25 to 35% of the current unrealistic exchange rate that we have. And you know that if we don't cut them off, speculators will be sending signal to I&E window that this is the true figure of dollar, which is meanwhile it is fake. So I&E window will also be growing. It will now be validating that in the real sense, Naira is not supposed to be as strong as it is. So government must do something about speculators. Lastly, and most importantly, we need to take out the big elephant in the room.
Which is? We
must move for consumption to having massive agro-allied sector, which would include processing, which would include having plantation, and most importantly, manufacturing and production. Here is it. When you look at large population around the world, including Indonesia, including Pakistan, including India, including China, including America, what are they known for? What is Nigeria known for? I hear somebody say, oh, because we're able to do few cassava here and there, and we're able to sell to the rest of the world, that is why the price is not growing. We are underperforming. We must become an economy that produces as much as our capacity, our production possibility frontier enable us to do. Therefore, how can we start? And I've given an instance before on your show where I mentioned that we have core members. Can we arrange them with those young people who have capacity to farm, or those who are not even young? So can we bring in modern technology with the support of government, so donating land, such that government intentionally. Osun State and Ondo State were known for cocoa. Kogi State is known for cashew nuts. But what is the intention? See, I'm not saying that corn cannot grow anywhere. But when you go to a farm that is dedicated for corn, and a secondary school student who is just planting corn in front of the school, the output will be different. I'm saying we should go from just doing it or marginal growth to becoming more deliberate
about it.
So
now, you want to feed a certain number of people,
yes,
and you start up, because the question is that why is a state government who thinks that I have abundance of cocoa saying, okay, I'm going to help 15 private companies, give them land and give them some subventions and give them facilities to help them set up and get industries that will also process those farm produce and make it into finished product.
And government cannot take it. My father was a produce examiner. Before petrol was known, what Nigeria was known for was cocoa. Government will check the quality of output. Today, what is the volume of our exports? We are no longer number one in the world. Then we were number one. We weigh the cocoa that is coming out from most places within our region. Today, that's not the case. We have abandoned that sector. And if you check, when they said Nigeria was majorly an agro, what were we? It was competitive product. You know? The same with the north. It is not just the northern region. It was a support between the region and the private sector persons that produce granules and export it en masse out of Nigeria. But we have seen something that worked. We want to dwell on what does not work. And we are hoping that if we embellish it with grammar, if we embellish it with some monetary policy, it's going to come out on the other side. Unfortunately, it does not work like that. Therefore, one of the ministers that have huge responsibility now is Minister of Trade and Investment, which people are speaking less of. Minister of Trade and Investment must know that trade is not about SME. What can we produce in Nigeria that we can export to the rest of the world? if you must come out of this in the long run. Two, can we provide fiscal solution